Welcome back to Connect and Transform. We are continuing our series on creating a checkers game in an SVG. Picking up where we left off, last time we showed our very first animation, which was a promotion to a king. In this case, we're going to update this temporary code. We're going to choose a different piece now. We're going to choose this black piece. We're going to copy this ID. And instead of doing a king me, we're going to move a piece to the southeast. So that will be a valid move in this case, but they're not all going to be valid moves. I'm mostly just demonstrating the animations here. So now we need to define this move piece southeast function in order for it to do anything. So I'm just going to copy the entire kingme function because we're going to reuse a lot of this stuff. We're going to reuse our local definition of the selected piece, which is current piece. We're going to reuse the code to get our current X and Y position. But instead of updating the href, instead we're just going to update the ID. Why do we do that? Because the ID holds the X and Y position. So if we're moving the piece, we have to update the ID, and then we have to update the selected piece, because if you remember, the selected piece variable is holding the ID of the currently selected piece. So if we're moving it, then we have to update that variable. So first we're going to update the ID. So the ID format is for a piece is p underscore, and then x, which in this case will be, because we're moving to the southeast, both the x and the y will increase by 1. So this will be x plus 1. And then we had an underscore between x and y. And then we're going to have y plus 1. And then we're just going to tack on the existing ending of the ID. So we're going to take the current piece.id.substring starting at 5. So there we've updated the ID of the current piece. Now, the thing we need to do is we need to update the selected piece to equal our local copies ID that we've already just updated. We're going to have a single animation, and the ID is the piece that we're referring to here. The milliseconds, that can stay the same, so that can stay the same. The only difference is that we're now talking about x plus 1 and y plus 1 instead of x and y. So when we perform the translation, we want the result of the animation to be the destination piece. So instead of x and y, we're doing x plus 1 and y plus 1. We're not going to change the scale at all, and we're going to say that we rotate 180 degrees. And the rest of this can stay the same. So this line was just making sure that the piece is topmost on the z-axis, and then this line was calling the apply transitions function if it's appropriate to do so. Now, if there is already a transition in progress, then we don't need to call this because this is already running and it will call itself. And we've already pushed this animation onto the queue, so it should get picked up and it should just work. So I'm going to go ahead and save on the right. I'm going to refresh on the left. After about 1 second, that moves to the southeast. So now I'm just going to copy this, and we're going to do southwest. So before I edit the southwest function, I'm going to scroll up here to the top. And in our temporary code, I'll make sure that it's calling southwest. So these first 3 lines can stay the same. When we're moving in a southwesterly direction, the x is -1 and the y is +1. So we're going to change that logic in the updating of our ID, and then we're also going to change the logic in our translation function that's telling us what to animate. So we're going to, at least in relative terms, we're going to x -1 and y +1. And the rest of that can stay the same. So I'll save it on the right, refresh on the left, wait about 1 second, and it just moved to the southwest. So now we're going to select a different piece. We're going to select this red piece here. We're going to update our temporary code. and we're going to shift over and do northwest and then northeast. So we're going to copy this into the northwest. So when something is moving in a northwest position, it is x minus 1, y minus 1. So we'll just change those signs real quick. Save it, refresh, and we see that red piece move in a northwest direction. So now we'll copy this over into northeast. So northeast is x plus 1, y minus 1. So we already have y minus 1, so we'll just change the signs here. So we have x plus 1, y minus 1, and we'll make sure that our temporary code is calling northeast. I believe I edited the wrong function just now. We want to edit the northeast function, so that should be x plus 1, y minus 1, for northeast. So let's save, refresh. Okay, so it's going to the northwest. Let's update this to northeast, refresh, and it goes to the northeast. Okay, so now what we're going to do is, even though it's not a valid move in checkers, we're going to move this singular piece all around. So we're going to go northeast, and then we're going to go northwest, and then we're going to go southwest, and then southeast. Save and refresh. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we see all 4 of those working correctly. And this just shows how you can, wrap a little bit of logic in these higher level functions and have it work. In the next video, we'll probably work on some of these other move functions that help determine which of these northwest, northeast, southwest, southeast directions get called. And then in another future video, we'll also do the jump animations. So this does it for the simple moves. Thank you for watching.